Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Are You Convinced? With me as always is Damon.
Or is it?
No, it's Damon.
It definitely is, yeah.
How you going?
I wanted to organise some elaborate prank where you walked in and instead of me, it was like three children in a trench coat
Yeah, okay.
wearing a Damon mask. And you'd be all like, Damon, you're the same height, but you're wearing a large trench coat. Is everything okay? And the first kid would say something like, yeah, it's definitely Damon. Come in. And then you notice that my arm is really short.
Just the sleeves hanging
Just
down, drooping.
And for some reason, he's wearing a fedora hat. And I've never worn a fedora, you know?
Not in at least a year.
And how long do you think it would have taken you? Like, it would have been...
Oh, we could have gone the whole podcast.
I would like to think it's when I sat down.
Yeah. And the middle child just falls out.
Yeah. Hang on a minute.
Your gut just goes inside you.
And I didn't know you were pregnant. That would have been good. I wish I'd organised that now, actually.
Well, I actually thought maybe I should bring a whoopee cushion in and just throw it, just get in the spirit of things.
Well, it's my house. I should have organised that for you. We were talking about how nice and organised I was, having a bottle of water for you.
Thank you.
And I totally forgot the whoopee cushion. Because, of course, April Fool's Day is coming up
on the release day.
On the release day,
It'll be
isn't it?
Day of release.
Good.
It'll be after midday, though, so I guess it doesn't count.
So you did stick to that rule, didn't you?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah,
I stuck to that rule. That's the rule,
because
isn't it?
I grew up with that being the rule, but I don't remember that ever being mentioned in media or anything. It was only ever... I always thought maybe it was something my mum made up to cut the tomfoolery at some point.
Yeah. Well, it probably is something that, parents got together and just, you know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, enough of this nonsense. Midday and it stops. Yeah. No more after midday.
Let them have their fun. It's a tradition, but for God's sake.
After midday, you're the fool.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
That's not how practical jokes work.
No, it's not. You
put a whoopee cushion under me. You're the fool because it's after midday.
Curses!
I feel so foolish. I have egg on my face.
I have been shown up because I cannot read an analog clock properly. Did you ever perform any pranks for April Fool's Day when you were a kid, or recently? Why does it have to be when you're a kid? It could have been last year. I don't know.
Maybe I'm planning something this year. Maybe it's going to be big.
Ooh. Should I know anything?
I've got nothing.
You're not, are you? No.
Nothing?
You're going to tell me you uploaded this episode, and in reality, you're going to sleep in and forget about it and upload it the next day, aren't you?
Probably.
There you go.
I'll
look so foolish!
Nothing really comes to mind. I think I remember a story of my dad possibly going into his sister's house, his brother's house or something, and removing all of the labels off the canned goods.
Wow.
So you just don't know. You have to open the can to figure out what's inside.
I feel so foolish! I have to open every can! Curse you, James's dad, who is also my brother.
We should point out, as we did mention last week, this is the final episode.
Yeah. For
the time being, asterisks there.
Yeah. We're not joking about any of this.
This is real talk.
This is real talk.
Episode 20.
Yeah. We thought 20 is a nice round number where life is getting in the way.
And we've pretty much run out of space without having to pay more money to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't us like on a blood drive. Like, don't think, oh God, I've got to run the hat around the office to get my favorite podcast to continue. I mean, if you did, that'd be great. But we're not begging for you to do that. If you did it on your own volition, hey, we might, I don't know, come to your house and shake your hand because we've got no merch to send you. But I mean, that'd be amazing. But so please believe us. This is it. Please enjoy it. We'll send you all the usual plugs at the end of the episode to look up previous episodes and stuff. And don't stop trying to convince people to listen.
No, because it'll still be up. You'll still be able to listen.
It's the internet. Everything's
there
on there
forever.
And because we've put it on Facebook, one of our episodes is probably going to be used in Trump's next campaign.
Maybe.
Yeah. Be sold off to the highest bidder. That's scary. I wish that was all a joke.
But yeah, it's certainly been fun. And
hasn't it?
We're going out with a fun topic. We're talking about practical jokes.
Woo! If you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
You couldn't work that out.
Very amusing this year because April Fool's falls on Easter Sunday.
I'd never
made the connection.
No, I never.
There's this whole thing on Facebook about the idea of taking off all the Cadbury egg wrappers, putting them on grapes.
Oh, that's ingenious. That's pure evil.
Or you could, the bigger eggs, you could probably actually get eggs and wrap them
Yeah.
up in alfoil.
I would go. It's a good thing I don't have kids because I'd go full brutal.
Yeah.
The kids would come running out into the lounge room. Where's our Easter egg hunt? And I'd be there skinning a rabbit, going, "You're what now?"
Actually, this reminds me of a story I heard ages and ages ago. I can't even remember if it was somebody I knew or somebody a friend knew or something. But this dad used to put down for Easter, would put down icing sugar in prints of rabbits.
Yeah.
And
That's
one
a
year,
cute thing to do. Yeah.
one
Until
year
the
he
ants get you.
decided to swap out the icing sugar for flour.
Okay.
So the kids would give you like, oh, icing sugar, and this time they were all just like, oh, flour, oh,
Do it with
curses, I'm so foolish.
I'm so foolish. Do it with salt.
Yeah, so it was something like that, where it's just completely threw them under the.
We not this wasn't a prank, but my sisters were making pancakes one day, as young teenage girls will want to do every now and then. They just get this urge to cook a huge meal for no reason and mess up the whole kitchen and annoy everyone in the process of making something vaguely good. So they're making pancakes and they're yelling at me to go and get ingredients. I'm like, all right, fine. What do you need? We need flour, salt, and sugar. So I bring out the bag of flour, the bag of salt, and the bag of sugar, and I put it on the counter.
Yep.
You can probably see where this is going already. I go away because I don't want to be a part of squealing girls in the kitchen cooking. They're doing my head in. So I go away. I come back, try a pancake, and it's just salt. It tasted like a bar of soap.
Oh.
It was ridiculous. And they're like, why did you get the salt? I said, because you told me to. You literally told me to grab the ingredients. I put them down.
Yeah.
You didn't read the labels. That's not a prank, but it
backfired on you.
Yeah, I looked the fool. Shall we talk about some of the great practical jokes in history, James?
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of funny food pranks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because we're great at segues. We've established this.
Do you know, I'm so good at segues, I didn't even know I was segueing.
But in 1957, the BBC made a broadcast about spaghetti trees in Switzerland.
Yeah, what's this about?
Pretty much.
Never heard of this.
Had this video of the Swiss people harvesting pasta off of trees. And there's just strands of spaghetti, and there's these women that are picking the spaghetti off the trees, and they're putting them in baskets. And because pasta, I guess, wasn't a big thing for the British to eat, they were calling up, just going, oh, how do I grow my own spaghetti tree?
That's fantastic.
I'd really like to have some spaghetti.
Now, serious question here. Was the spaghetti growing raw or cooked?
It looked like it was cooked. Like,
okay.
It wasn't straight and salt, yeah.
Because weirdly, I would believe it more if it was like long, straight, hard strands of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Trees are hard.
Yep.
Uncooked pasta is hard.
This makes sense.
They walk up and they snap it off the branch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I'd buy that.
It'd be the swirly stuff that would blow my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spirals or the.
I love spirals.
Yeah.
Macaroni.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
We can name all our favorite pastas. All the pastas.
Tortellini.
Angel hair. Ravioli.
Fettuccine. You're doing better at this than I am. Slow down. What's the little pillows with the meat in them? Ravioli.
Yeah, ravioli or tortellini is similar.
Ravioli's a really good bachelor meal, I found.
Yeah.
You buy the pre-packed frozen ones.
Because the meat's already in the pasta.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just like pour sauce and like maybe cut up a few onions. And I used to put carrot in mine.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting fancy.
Yeah. Well,
fancy bachelor.
No, it's not. It's not fancy. It's just like
it's a bit of extra effort for a bachelor. That's fancy.
I might have had scurvy. All right, let's throw some decency into this pasta. And then you put some spinach on top. There's your iron. And then you cook enough for an army. And that's food for a week.
Yeah.
It's great.
So tell me, where do you land on gnocchi?
I like gnocchi. I don't want to get drawn into the highly volatile argument as to whether it's a pasta or a potato.
Okay,
I don't want to get involved.
Sorry, I'm just laughing to myself because people listening are just hearing us.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay because it's an April Fool's episode.
Right.
We could just spend half the episode talking about pasta.
We could, actually. They didn't know. We could have just continued like that. We didn't even have to do any research.
Oh.
No. But our real topic, of course, today is Lithuanian ice skating, which I know you're an expert on.
And I'm going to convince you of the greatest Lithuanian ice skater.
Oh, that's my topic. In hindsight, it's a very narrow topic.
Yeah.
I don't really... Well, we could have done best skater, best moves, best venue. We could have gone into best venue.
Yeah.
I'm partial to...
Helsinki.
Yep. That's not even in Lithuania, man.
I know, but it was Lithuanian ice skating in Helsinki.
Get us back on topic, please. So, okay, yeah, spaghetti trees in Switzerland. War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
You've got written down. Is that strictly speaking a prank?
I think so. Well, I mean, I don't think it was intended to, but it had practical joke effects.
It had prank-like connotations to
Yes.
it, didn't it? Yeah. It's so for those that don't know,
Yeah.
everyone knows.
I think so. So there was
Surely.
a book first, yeah?
Yeah, it was. It was
H.G. Wells wrote
hang
War
on,
of the Worlds.
I had Wikipedia open, and now I don't.
And it was adapted into this radio play.
Yep. So it was, written by H.G. Yeah, H.G. Wells wrote The War of the Worlds in 1898, and then in 19.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. It's a lot earlier than you think. H.G. Wells was operating much earlier than I ever think he was, you know. Sunday, October 30th, 1938. So it wasn't even April 1st. The Mercury Theatre on the Air, which is a radio station that desperately needs a new title, needs a marketing team to get around it.
Just drop the V.
Just drop the.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mercury Theatre. Yeah.
Yeah. It worked for MySpace.
Yeah.
So Mercury Theatre on Air. Drop the two Th's. There's two Th's in there. Mercury Theatre on Air.
Yep. Brilliant.
MTA.
Already cleaner. Yep.
MTA.
Yeah. We
Look at
fixed
this.
it.
They
We
needed
fixed
me.
a business from the 1930s, Damon.
If only they needed our business. We could quit podcasting and our respective jobs and do this full time. So it was a part of a Halloween thing. They were reading, it was an anthology radio series, so they just read different stories every week. But this one was read by the great Orson Welles, apparently so well that the story goes people at home were allegedly in mass panic.
Thinking that aliens were invading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I read this article and it disappointed both of us when I read the word allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because there's no firm summary on the actual public reaction. Like there's no there's a lot of media reports, but there's no firm testimony of people that were genuinely
Terrified. Okay.
Yeah. So, which kind of sucks because it's like that's the great myth of our time, isn't it? That this guy read this story out online and the world lost its mind for an evening.
Maybe because the online wasn't around in the 1930s.
Fair point. Yeah.
on radio.
Well, but imagine if they read it on radio today, like in
and still nobody would be listening.
No, that's a good point. But like the Twitter storm coming out of it,
yeah,
that could be interesting.
You'd have a record.
Yeah, true. We would have a record today, and then
Should
Trump
have invented Twitter sooner.
And then Trump would use that as part of his next
Fake
campaign.
news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Mm.
The aliens are not invading.
No, but he loves Twitter. He'd believe everything written on Twitter.
True. Yeah.
I've brought up Trump twice tonight.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say?
No.
You were just talking about fools.
Well done. Ooh. Biting political satire. That's what you get from this show.
Damon, you were telling me earlier, you showed me this video of flying penguins.
How cute is the flying penguins video? It's great. You were telling me about the BBC with the spaghetti trees thing.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, maybe this is a regular thing for the BBC to prank people, because I saw this video of David Attenborough, down in the South Pole, narrating this colony of penguins behind him. And he's talking about the harsh Arctic pressures on these penguins and the strive for survival and the way all creatures try to find a niche. And this remarkable colony of penguins has abandoned the water and taken to the skies. And it just shows a whole bunch of penguins like taking running, flapping wind-ups and then taking off and flying.
Yep.
The BBC was inundated for days after with phone calls.
David Attenborough was pitching this, was telling everybody about it.
He's as gospel as our run sheet.
Yeah.
If he says it, it's true. It's happening.
Yeah.
And people trust him and trust his voice. And we were talking about, I don't have the exact date on when this went out, but I'm thinking it was in the past.
Yes. Most things have happened in the past.
As a rule, typically. Yeah. But that means that people weren't as smart as they are right now.
Yeah.
Like we're as smart.
Older and therefore wiser.
Well, there you go. And the internet and CGI effects hadn't been around for as long as they have as of right of this second.
Yep.
I'm exploiting every loophole I can in this classical argument of mine. But I think what I'm trying to say is like the combination of like really good CGI, David Attenborough, and the BBC, people just didn't click that this could have been faked.
Yeah.
And you said to me, like, when you knew it wasn't real, you're like, oh, of course
Obviously, that
it's
looks so
fake.
fake.
But you can see how people could fall for it.
Yeah. I think animals are a good one to really pull the wool over people's eyes.
Well done.
That wasn't
Well
pun was unintended, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could just tell people anything about animals, and if they aren't knowledgeable, they'll believe you.
It does remind me of a prank that I don't think Mum did it. Mum was involved in it. No, Mum was at the school where it happened. Let's remove my mum from all implication of this, but like a year 12 muck-up day. So, anyone listening overseas in Australia, it's tradition in your final week of school, final week of year 12, there's just a day where you can... Now it's just turned into water fights and practical joke and stuff, hasn't it? Like, they've really tried to PC and sanitize it a little bit after... you can imagine fireworks launched off roofs, whole ovals painted. It started to get pretty gnarly there in the 90s, so they've really had to rein it in.
Yeah.
But in my mum's generation, back before schools were worried about genuine criminal activity happening, someone took 3 sheep, right, let them loose on the school oval, but they'd spray painted the numbers 1, 2, and 4.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Classic.
To this day, it's my favourite prank.
Yeah.
Just the sight of a school principal running around suburban Adelaide looking for this number 3 sheep.
But right here in Australia, we have a great animal practical joke.
I'm really annoyed at you for bringing this up because I think as Australians, we're honour bound to not reveal this as a practical joke. We're meant to keep this going. For as long as
do you really think we have people outside of Australia listening?
I thought you were going to say, do you really think people don't know about this? Like, I'd like to think maybe one day someone stumbles upon us outside of Oz. If you do, drop us a line, let us know, tell us where you're listening from. And let us know if you know about drop bears and the danger therein of drop bears. I love it. I love that as a country. I don't know where this started. I don't know who first started telling the story. But as a country, we've just decided we need to tell every tourist here that koalas are lethal.
Yeah.
The cutest, cuddliest things that we've got here.
They are pretty dangerous, though.
They are.
Like, they've got teeth and claws and...
Yeah, massive claws.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see them. We go hiking up a hill not too far from here.
Yeah.
Natalie and I. And we're averaging 2 per walk.
Yeah.
At this point. Yeah. I barely got out with my life last time.
Because they just drop out at you.
They do. They just fall straight out of the tree
Yeah.
right on you. You don't know they're there until you're under them.
Yeah. And they'll just
vicious.
go at you, yeah.
What were some of the things that you've heard about repelling drop bears that make you look like a real turkey?
Vegemite behind the ears.
Yeah, I've heard of pegs in the hair, in the hair.
In the hair, okay.
Yeah, clothing pegs in your hair. That'll apparently stop it. The real threat we have in Australia is magpies swooping in. And I've seen all sorts of get-ups for that.
Forget drop bears. The magpies just...
Magpies genuinely do dive. This is not a prank. They genuinely do dive bomb you from trees.
Swooping,
Yeah. Have you ever been swooped?
Yeah, oh, many times.
Yeah.
It's like when I try to get fit and active and try to get out walking, then there's a whole period of the year where I just can't go that way
That
anymore.
sort of early November, late October sort of period. And you go, that's it. Nope, not having a beach body this year. Magpies won't let me. And then I was in Townsville visiting my dad riding a bike one year, and one sort of swooped and got me in the side of the head. Oh. And I genuinely thought someone had thrown a rock at me or something.
Oh, okay. Well,
geez. With impact. Yeah. That's why I talk weirdly to this day. That concussion just got worse and worse. No, but yeah. Drop bears, I love. That's got to be my favorite prank because it's nationwide.
Yeah, everybody's just instantly in on it.
Yeah. And I don't think I was ever taught to tell people that. I just picked it up as I got older.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Just you don't know how.
No.
How does it spread?
But does it really matter? Like,
No.
I'm just happy it's so seeped into our consciousness that we've got to lie to European backpackers. I love it.
Yeah. The Australian Tourism Board
Ah.
recently lied to a whole lot of people.
Idiots. This backfired.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy with how badly it backfired. Go on. Sorry, tell the story.
So recently there was a series of trailers for the new Dundee movie, Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, which
one of our most terrible exports.
Yeah, we're sorry. Actually, the first one was good.
Yeah.
I'll throw it. It
was
what it was.
It led to, like, that's not a knife.
Yeah.
This isn't. We don't.
And all these terrible Australian accents. And
Paul
Hogan is to blame for that awful shrimp on a Barbie. No Australian has ever called that thing a shrimp.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever cooked one on a Barbie.
No, you boil them.
Yeah.
He got it all wrong. Don't listen to him.
I don't know how that happened.
No, because they call them shrimps and they know we cook on Barbies. Sorry.
Nah. But so there was a trailer for, I guess it would have been the third Crocodile Dundee movie.
Fourth.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a three. There's a 3.
Oh,
Yeah, and it stars Paul Hogan, full of plastic surgery in LA.
Oh, right.
I don't remember the plot. It's the movie that never had to get made. It's very kid heavy. It's got his son in it,
Okay.
and the son was meant to be in this number
This
4,
character? Okay.
searching for his dad in the outback or some crap. And,
So it was titled Dundee, Son of a Legend Returns Home. Had a whole bunch of Australian actors: Hugh Jackman, Chris Hemsworth, Liam Hemsworth, Margot Robbie,
Ben Hemsworth.
Yeah, Ben Hemsworth was, of course, there.
My
The
favourite
fourth,
Hemsworth.
lesser known Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm. He weren't
Not even Luke was in it, though, disappointing. The actual third Hemsworth.
No, he was probably busy actually making actual movies.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing, and the amount of reviews I read and heard where everyone's going, I don't think this is a real movie. There's something about the way it was shot that everyone was filmed. Every famous actor you saw was only ever shot from one angle. One take, one angle.
Yeah.
And if you watch that, you think, are they only in it for one scene, or could they only afford one camera for that?
Yeah.
Pitch?
Okay.
It just something about it really struck like they've only filmed this once. Is what the whole thing felt like to me.
Yeah.
And Russell Crowe, who's not Australian, he's a Kiwi, but he was in it.
But basically, they built this up as a upcoming movie, and then the Super Bowl rolls around, and they play the final full trailer, and there's Chris Hemsworth showing I can't remember the guy's name.
No, I know that.
He was, the other guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Eastbound and Down guy.
Showing him around within the movie, and then he's going and look at the wineries and look at this, and then the guy goes, "Hold on. This is an Australian tourism commercial, isn't it?"
Terrible. The worst thing about that is that more people wanted a new Crocodile Dundee movie out of those ads than they wanted to come to Australia. Like, the internet was alight for the next couple of days about actually make a new Dundee movie. And Tourism Australia is like, or just come here. And they were like, it seems really nice, but how good would a new Mick Dundee movie be? And
it's really funny because Americans don't really travel all that much.
No,
it's very rare for them to.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should be appealing to. Well, we don't have to, but China.
Yeah,
China's our major tourism. Catchment? I don't know.
That'll do.
That's the word now. Yeah, Europeans are second. English. Do you know the number one illegal immigrant to Australia?
No,
where they come from?
The one person. Do I know
that
the number one
guy? He's the worst.
Jose.
One. No, the Jose. It's not. His name's not Jose. His name's probably George or Bill or something English.
Okay.
It's English people that overstay working visas.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's the number one demographic of the number two are Kiwis who overstay their working visas.
Yeah.
Don't believe the hype. Anyway, back to practical jokes.
Back to practical jokes.
It's the last episode. We're a bit loose.
There was an article actually on Facebook. It was in the last couple of years.
I've never heard of this.
The news outlet was NPR News, and they put this article up.
NPR is a real thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They put this article up titled "Why Doesn't Anyone Read Anymore?" And everybody replied to the article, just going, "What do you mean? Everybody, I read. People are stupid. I read all the time."
It's a written article, isn't it?
You open the article, and it says, if you've clicked and opened this article, we're just doing a test. Because this article doesn't actually say anything. It's not actually an article about. We just want to see who reads headlines and comments on Facebook things.
Oh, wow.
So if you go back to the Facebook comments, just play along, pretty much. And so there's all these people that have replied and just gone, I actually like the paragraph where they go into the problems with the US literacy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you can spot the people that didn't even
anybody that just go, oh, what do you mean? I read all the time.
Because I just quietly hate those people.
Yeah. They clearly haven't read.
Well, there's so many, the media nowadays, again, cards on the table, last episode, let's go political. The media landscape now is clickbait.
Yeah.
That's all news agencies do. And whenever you hear someone talk about, we're not even allowed to celebrate Easter anymore. No one's banning Easter.
Yeah.
You read half a headline once that talked about some, probably a church not being able to
Yabba dabba do.
probably that was English. Probably a church not being able to advertise something or something like that. And then that got turned into, I bet Easter's next. And then you've just read half of that article and you've run with that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not informed, you're loud.
Yeah.
There's a difference. And unfortunately, these loud people get the same vote that you and I get. And you just need someone that appeals to the loud people that don't read proper articles.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you're building a wall and you're getting Mexico to pay for it, and deporting people that have been living in their country their entire lives and were allowed to stay under a previous administration.
We're getting worked up.
Where am I? I went somewhere else for a little bit there.
Just gone white with rage.
Yeah. No, the whole world just went blank for a little bit there. You've written down on here something that's taken me by surprise.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it is probably, I don't know if you'd say the best practical joke, because
it's a pretty good one.
I mean, a lot of people died as a result of it.
Yeah.
But
it was effective.
It's brilliantly effective.
Yeah. So the Greeks.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They built a giant horse.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And they climbed inside and they wheeled it up to the doors of Troy and knocked and ran. Yeah. I don't know if they knocked. But, like ding dong dash. Leave the horse out the front.
The first ever ding dong dash. Do you reckon they drew straws to see who got that job?
Yeah. And then he's the one guy that has to get out the back of the horse, has to run to the door, just not getting noticed, knock, and then run back really quickly.
And get back in the horse.
And then they kind of wait, and nobody's coming. Oh, I have to go out again.
And he just
goes back out, knocks a little bit louder, and then runs back in.
And his mates were trying to keep the door shut, so he couldn't get back in. He's like, seriously, guys, they're coming. Let me in. You're such jerks.
I can see it now.
I love
Have
this.
I painted an excellent picture? You're back there.
I love the image of this little Greek bloke running up and ringing the doorbell of Troy. I'm pretty sure in actual history they just left it there.
Yeah.
And waited till the next morning.
And then the Trojans woke up and found this horse at their front door and went, yeah, we'll take that.
We'll
cool.
Take that.
We want that.
There's a story that what I heard is that they mistook it as an offering to Poseidon. So them being honourable people, they went, well, we'll take it in. We'll take it to the temple of Poseidon as the Greeks' offering. If that means they go back to Greece and stop giving us a hard time, small price to pay.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that all the Greeks were inside.
Yeah.
Yay.
So pretty much,
Surprise!
They wheeled the horse in. The Greeks came out. A bunch of them, I guess, opened the doors for the rest of the Greek army to come in the door.
They were hiding around the corner.
Yep.
Sneaky Greeks.
Yeah. In the bushes.
Again, this great image of are they taking the horse in? Shh. Sit down. They'll see you.
I feel like we could make a very hilarious modern Monty Python-esque movie of the Battle of Troy.
There's a great sketch in there at least.
Yeah.
I'm still just in love with this little Greek guy tiptoeing up to the gates and knocking. I love it. In the dead of night.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yoo-hoo.
I love it. Are there any Trojans home? We hear you like big wooden horses. I don't think they're home.
No, we'll come back later.
Okay.
So that was an excellent example of military strategy that was also a practical joke.
Sure. Yeah, our definition of practical joke is changing as we go, but yes.
It made the Trojans look foolish.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And it was really practical.
Yes.
It was a good idea.
But off the back of that, I thought I'd launch into my argument.
Look at your segue.
Yeah.
Look at you going.
I'm actually on a segue.
You're literally
right now.
riding on a segue right now.
Rolling back and forth.
But never toppling over.
No.
Didn't they catch on?
I wanted to talk to you this week about one of the world's most successful pranks, which helped to change the course of history.
Yeah.
So, as we discussed with the Trojan horse, sometimes practical jokes don't just serve to make others look foolish. The deception can also be utilized as a military strategy, as was the case with Operation Fortitude during World War II.
Yes.
So many of us would know about D-Day or the Normandy landings, which took place on Tuesday, the 6th of June, 1944.
Was meant to be the day before.
Was it?
Yeah, but the weather was bad.
Oh.
Yeah, so they delayed it.
Fair enough.
Carry
Wow.
on. Sorry.
Interesting. No, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Yeah. I confession, I studied modern history at uni.
So you probably know all about what I'm going to talk about.
A little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm still no. But the beautiful thing about these things is that you can never know too much about it. Like every time you read, watch, or hear someone discuss a topic from history, they still come at it from a different viewpoint. They bring new information, the stuff you missed or misremembered or whatever. So you can never not revisit a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in June of 1944. Next year, we'll be commemorating 75 years since this very important and fateful day.
Yeah.
This was at a time when the Axis powers controlled much of Europe. So the Allies realized that if they were going to win the European war, they would have to invade Nazi-occupied France.
Mm-hmm.
But this is never going to be easy. If the German forces were prepared for an attack, the whole of their Western army could have taken the Allies out with ease. To that end, the Allies would do everything in their power to convince their enemy that they weren't coming, or at least not where the Nazis were expecting.
See, sneaky British people.
And so they came up with Operation Fortitude. So this military deception would play out in the lead up to D-Day and was broken into two parts. There's Fortitude North and Fortitude South. Their goal was to mislead the German High Command as to the actual time and location of the pending invasion. So the objectives of Fortitude North would be to deceive the Germans into expecting an invasion of Norway.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Fortitude South would focus on making it appear as though the Allies were going to land in France at Pas de Calais, north of Normandy.
Exactly.
That's how you get into France if you're coming from England.
That's right. It's the closest point.
Yeah.
But not many people know this. Not suitable beaches
Okay.
for a.
I just
assault.
got there on the ferry and yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but you weren't carrying a rifle.
No.
You know, it's a little bit different when you got there.
But both subplans utilize various methodologies, also known as special means, to divert Axis attention away from the true intended landing location. These special means involve the creation of phantom field armies based in Edinburgh and in the south of England. Wireless traffic was used. It was created to simulate communication between these phantom units.
Yeah, there were whole people. The only job of these people was to send fake radio broadcasts and fake communiques.
Yeah,
it's great. I want that job. It's an amazing job. Just
So-
don't use real place names and you're fine. You know?
exactly right.
Yeah.
Operation Sky was one such component of Fortitude North. That program was divided into 4 sections, Sky 1 through 4 in Roman numerals, relating to different divisions of the fictional British Fourth Army stationed in Edinburgh.
They made up a whole army.
Yeah.
They just plucked an army out of nowhere and
And then
pretended
had
it was.
wireless communications between that army.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
But a book published in 2000 titled Fortitude, the D-Day Deception Campaign, mentioned that there was no evidence to show that Operation Sky had actually contributed to Fortitude North.
No, of course.
It's believed that the Germans weren't even monitoring these simulated wireless communications. But you know what? That's okay. They went all out to sell this ruse. They were just going every single possible contingency.
If you want something to be a success, you treat it as though it is successful.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
I read that somewhere.
Somewhere.
Or you told it to me.
Could have been.
Probably about this podcast, in fact.
Other special methods utilized included the controlled leaks of information through diplomatic channels. These leaks could get passed on via neutral countries to the Germans. False information was also passed on directly to the Nazis by German agents under the control of the Allies through the double cross system. Basically, they had a system of double agents.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. You might bring this up, but a dead guy? Do you get into that?
Maybe.
Maybe. I won't ruin it, just in case you do talk about that. Go on. Sorry. I'll
It's
say
too
no
vague
more.
of a hint.
I will say no more.
Okay. So obviously it would have been very suspicious if these agents had just shown up claiming to have stolen plans to outline the pseudo invasion in full detail.
Yeah.
You know, so basically these agents were really only allowed to report back with minor details, such as uniform insignia and unit markings. Some reports would indicate a few troop sightings in areas where there are actually many units housed. Agents also gave reports about the fictitious 1st United States Army Group, or FUSAG, being stationed at Dover. In military planning, you stage your units around the country, with those units landing first to be stationed closest to the invasion point.
Yes.
So Dover and Calais, they're the two closest points of England and France, like we said, separated by the Strait of Dover at the narrowest point of the English Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, the Nazi forces used this information to construct an order of battle, anticipating the Fusag would invade at Calais. It made sense.
The Fusag is coming.
Like, given the proximity on the French coast to England and allowing it, like, going through Calais allows for swift entry into Germany, it made sense. It was the likely invasion point.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
To further support the deception, the British employed the Allies, I should say, they employed the public presence of notable figures that they had associated with the Phantom groups, such as the well-known U.S. General George S. Patton, who the Germans were terrified of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they figured, of course he's going to be involved.
Had a massive reputation. But like the Germans also had Rommel, who was their field operation. What's the correct term? Something about field operations general in France. He was in North Africa and he outsmarted the Allies a lot of the time in North Africa. Great tank commander.
Yeah, okay.
Really forward thinking when it came to using tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in France. So it was kind of a big old battle of the heavyweights.
Yeah, okay.
The Normandy invasions. It was like our best generals versus your best generals. Heroes against heroes. It's fascinating.
So they pretty much put George S. Patton in charge of the fictitious Fusag. So he was
cool.
Yeah, he was in command. He just gets to be like,
You wouldn't put him in charge of something that's not going to invade.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
so they obviously had him showing up in public places so that the Germans would think, well, yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
He's involved.
Yeah.
Early battle reports, when things actually got underway, early battle reports describing the insignia on Allied units only cemented the Germans' faith in their system of agents. So these double agents that are actually working for the British, the Germans thought they were working for them.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that information they gave us is accurate. Well, these guys are doing good.
Yeah. How good's that? We've got the best spies. Our country has the best spies of all the countries.
And this week, I've got one of the best names, I think.
Oh, good.
Juan Pujol Garcia.
Yeah, you win.
Was one of the most important double agents the British had. He's a Spanish citizen operating under the codename Garbo. He played a crucial role in supplying this fake intel to the Germans through a network of non-existent sub-agents.
That's right.
He made up like 27 agents.
Pretended he had a whole spy network under him.
That he was passing information through.
Yeah.
He has the distinction of receiving military decorations from both sides of the conflict.
That's right, he did too.
Not only did he later receive an MBE, that's a member of the Order of the British Empire, but after the invasion began, Garcia learned over radio messages from Germany that he had been awarded the Iron Cross.
Yeah.
They trusted his intel that much.
Yeah. Is it any wonder they lost the war?
But sort of a side note, funnily, it was discovered after the war that with the possible exception of one person who may have committed suicide, is that your dead guy?
Go on.
One person may have committed suicide, but otherwise, every agent that Germany sent to Britain was captured or gave themselves up immediately.
There you go.
So none of them actually did worked for the Germans.
No.
They were captured or recruited into this the double cross program.
The German intelligence was actually a serious problem by this point in the war. It really was. We cracked Enigma. Allied spies were operating all over Europe. French insurgencies like the French resistance, Polish resistance, Italian resistance. When the Yanks rocked up in Sicily, half of them had family there.
Wow.
Honestly, the Yanks would rock up into a town, and then it's like, hey, like my great uncle Enzo's over here, and he's saying that he's going to give us fuel and food and bombs. I don't know why he's got them, but he's well connected. Like mafioso country. No, the dead guy I was going to talk about. Sorry to eat into your
go
time
for it, because
here,
I think we're good.
The dead guy, I'm pretty sure the British decked out a corpse. I forget how the guy died. Hopefully, happily, quietly in his sleep,
Okay.
They decked him out in full British regalia with a briefcase full of notes about the impending invasion.
Oh, really?
And they just dumped him in the channel, and he rocked in France or Spain. I can't think where he landed. But the briefcase got back to German intelligence, and there was all this stuff leading back to invasion in Calais.
Wow.
Calais, yeah.
Brilliant. I'm surprised I missed that. That seems like a great.
I mean, that's bits and pieces of it. Yeah. There's more to it than that story, but that's how I remembered it. Yeah, but suffice to say, massive undertaking to get this done, and there was so many different cloak and dagger things they did.
I think one of my favorite parts of this elaborate operation is the use of physical deception.
Yeah, these are great.
So it wasn't really used a whole lot in Fortitude North because it was deemed unlikely that the German reconnaissance planes would be able to reach Scotland without being intercepted.
Yeah, true.
But Fortitude South certainly utilized this. That is, it's the creation of fake infrastructure and equipment in order to mislead the enemy. So they used decoy lighting, they built fake airfields, they created a fake army of inflatable trucks, tanks, planes, an army that was almost comparable in size to their actual might.
There's actually a fantastic clip that I'm sure you can YouTube it, just 4 guys walking up to a tank, picking it up, and walking away with it. It's amazing.
So
these things look so real,
Listeners, inflatable tanks, trucks, and planes. Basically, the German reconnaissance planes would come through and just go, wow, that's
a lot of tanks.
They're there at Dover. They're getting ready for this invasion. This is going down.
Did you get the name of the guy that invented those?
No.
He was a magician and a theatre worker.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I've really researched this.
No, you're doing a great job. I'm sorry.
No. I feel like I missed so many extra details.
I obsessively researched World War II as a teenager. This was one of my pet topics.
Yeah, fair enough.
So don't feel bad. It's me that had no life when I was 16. That's the problem.
So this gave the appearance that the Allied forces were far stronger than they were and lent credence to the charade. Do you want to know what the inflatable general said to his inflatable soldier when he brought a pin with him? He said, "You've let me down. You've let yourself down. You've let the whole army down."
You've let me down and this podcast down by telling that joke. I want you to know that. I always knew that as the inflatable boy that went to his inflatable school.
I worked it in. I had to change it a little bit,
No, I appreciate the commitment.
But ultimately, the false wireless traffic and the misinformation spread by double agents were the most significant elements of Operation Fortitude. They helped the most. But I think any good prank needs its contingencies. Like we said, they really sold this. They had a lot of elements in place to sell the ruse, and the whole thing worked.
Yeah.
It divided German forces, delayed reinforcements reaching Normandy once the invasion began. In fact, the deception was so successful that Hitler kept a large number of his forces at Calais for 7 weeks, believing that Normandy was a diversion and the true invasion would still be happening at Calais.
Rommel kept an entire tank division back at Paris, kept it inland, and didn't realise until 2 days later.
Double bluff. I love a good double bluff.
Yeah, you've got to love a good double bluff, and they did. They did it beautifully. Yeah. The entire British and American joint forces are on the beach in Normandy. Hitler's getting radio signals going, seriously, this is real, and he's going, I bet it's fake. And his troops.
I have evidence.
I've got evidence
from Garbo. Garbo, I trust Garbo, and Garbo says they're coming through Calais.
I trust Garbo with my life and an iron cross. Got that wrong.
But of course, the Allies were able to take control of the Western Front, and ultimately they turned the tide of the war. However, without Operation Fortitude, D-Day and World War II would have gone very differently.
Yeah, probably would have gone about 2 to 3 years longer.
Yeah. So, Damon, I want to put it to you. Are you convinced that Operation Fortitude is the most significant prank in modern history?
Ooh, I like the word significant thrown in there. Yes. Yes. Because when you consider it, like I said, 2 to 3 years it probably took off World War II. The Allies were already in Europe. They were in Italy, but that was slow going.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know much about the geography of Italy, but where it meets the rest, it's a peninsula. Where it meets the rest of Europe, there's a little obstacle there. It's called the Alps. Kind of hard to cross, a bit of a pain, a bit of an effort. The Soviet Union was pushing into, rest of Europe, but they copped all of the German resistance.
Yeah.
And Stalin was begging for a second front to open up. That would detract troops and supplies away. They'd already sent one of their best generals to France, Rommel, for the event of the invasion, which they knew was going to come.
Yeah.
But, they needed it. And the fact that they never picked it, and the fact that they used inflatable tanks and cars, it mostly...
Brilliant. I just imagine a whole bunch of British and American soldiers just giggling to those guys that have to sit in the room making the wireless communications. I can't even say it. Roger.
Don't laugh into the mic. Don't laugh into the mic. You ready? You go. I can't do it. You're looking at me. I can't do it. I love the guys that took an inflatable tank for a joyride. That would have happened. Surely, a couple of pissed soldiers picking one up, walking it down the main street.
Jumped into the English Channel and just climbed all over it.
Across. They had floating tanks for the invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They had a big curtain that went around the tanks, like almost like a shower curtain style thing. And at the very top was a really heavy duty inflatable pontoon. So the tank would drive. This was all attached to the tank like a skirt.
Yeah.
The tank would drive into the water, and as it went down, the curtain would raise because it's obviously inflated at the top, and the little outboard motor would just drive the whole thing across the channel.
Okay, so is the tank submerged?
The tank sort of half floating like a tea bag.
Okay.
And the big pontoon around it is keeping it up, and the curtain around it is keeping it dry, and then they're just driving it with a little outboard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's true. It's real. I swear.
Brilliant.
And they would just drive up to the beach.
Yep.
And start firing.
Nice.
Real thing.
I had to figure out some way to do it.
They did, and some of the greatest leaps in technology we've had through war, which is a really upsetting statement to make. But anyway, my practical joke is nowhere near as significant historically, but I will argue,
hilarious.
by the very nature of practical jokes, this is the best.
Yeah, okay.
It's the best one that's ever been. It's the best that ever will be. No one will ever prank someone this good ever again.
Okay.
Okay, I know, big claim, but yeah, look at your face. You're so keen for
I
this.
reckon it sounds hilarious. I know very little.
Yep.
So
good.
enlighten me.
Okay, good. Just bear with me because it gets worse. Okay. On the 27th of November, 1810, Mrs. Tottenham of 54 Burnham Street heard...
Are you going to do the accent the whole time?
Was I doing an accent?
Slightly. Just a little bit.
I am half
Miss
half
Tottingham.
English. Mrs. Tottenham of 54 Burnham Street. What accent's that? I kind of lapse into it naturally.
I think it's the name Tottingham. You have to.
Tottenham. You don't pronounce the E in the end. So, her of 54 Burnham Street hears a knock at the door.
Who is it?
From
Can
there,
this be a roleplay?
No, actually, I didn't prepare like that, but I should have. I'm really regretting I didn't now. From there, we could. Hang on, let's
it's okay. No, you go.
Just take it from. Who is it?
Who is it?
Chimney sweep, ma'am. You didn't order a chimney sweep.
I didn't order a chimney sweep.
Oh, by gosh, that's a shame because there's 12 more of us here that have just arrived.
Excuse me?
You sound like Eric Idle from a Python sketch.
I think that's really much what we're going for, isn't it?
It might be, yeah. Actually, that's, yeah.
So carry on.
That's the extent of our acting. So she hears a knock at the door. From there, it all went downhill. See, at the door was a chimney sweep, who she did not order.
I knew that.
There
just
you go.
A moment ago.
Yeah, from that amazing
roleplay,
bit of vaudeville acting we just did. A bit of radio theatre that we just engaged in. After sending that chimney sweep away, Mrs. Tottenham heard another knock at the door. It was another chimney sweep, and then another, and then another. 13 chimney sweeps in total. Mrs. Tottenham had no way of knowing at this point that by the end of the day, the front of her house, in fact the entire street, would be a throng of deliveries, dignitaries, delinquents and dandies, all trying to get to her door. You see, Jim, Mrs. Tottenham's house, number 54 Berners Street, which I've just decided will be the name of my next band.
54 Berners Street?
54 Burnham Street. Berners Street.
Yep.
Help if I can get it right. 54 Berners Street would become the most famous address in London. It all began like most great ideas. Two friends were drinking in the pub.
Excellent. We should have a pub. We should open a pub.
We should.
That's just what two drunk people at the pub say.
Oh.
But yes, we should.
Yeah. Like, why don't we?
I'm sure there's many reasons.
I've got some money in a jar hidden somewhere in this house.
Some knowledge of alcohol, mainly the consumption thereof.
I could pour a beer. I can't manage real estate, but anyway. What would it be called?
54 Berners Street.
Oh, there you go. See, you're so far ahead of me. I would happily sacrifice my band name to call the pub 54 Burnham Street.
Yeah. Brilliant. Love it.
That's exciting.
That's our next venture after. Are you convinced?
Yep. Patent pending, by the way. Trademark pending. Anyway, so two friends were drinking in the pub. Samuel Beasley bet his mate Theodore Hook that he couldn't turn a random house in London into the most talked about address in the city.
Man, they had random ideas. Like,
It's hard to say
You'd
what
be
led
pretty
to the
drunk,
bet.
yeah.
You'd have to be. Yeah. I don't know what the conversation was leading up to it. No one does. But I like to think Hook was in some kind of real estate gig in which he upped the values of homes.
Yeah, okay.
Or else none of this makes any sense.
Yeah.
So we don't know. The wager was set at 1 guinea, which used to be an amount of money, which was worth roughly half of 2 guineas. And Hook was given...
That's helpful.
That's my favourite joke in this.
Do you actually have a monetary value?
No, I don't. I
You
have
don't
no
know how much
idea.
it's worth?
But I don't think a guinea is much. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's like 1 cent or something. It's
Yeah.
not big. So it's like a $5 bet.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Hook was given 1 week in which to deliver on his wager. It makes me laugh thinking about this as a $5 bet, knowing what's to come. Over the course of the next week, Hook would send out about 4,000 letters. Right, this is before email and text messaging, but 4,000 handwritten letters to various important people and services within the City of London. On the morning of the 27th, Mrs. Tottenham answered her door to the first of 13 chimney sweeps, which actually is really the name of my next band, 13 Chimney Sweeps.
Yep.
There's got to be 13 of us for it to work. No, 12.
You just have one that then you just all painted 1 through 13.
1 through to 13.
But there's a number missing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And every night on stage, there'd be a different number missing. Yeah. Keep them guessing, Jim. Why Hook chose to torment her is unclear, but the best guess is that across the street from her house was a home for rent, from which Hook and Beasley could watch the ensuing chaos.
Okay.
After the chimney sweep came, there was a coal delivery. Sorry, deliveries, plural. The amount is not stipulated, but my source used the word fleet of coal carts. They all arrived. And then some wedding cakes. Again, plural. The source used the word series of wedding cake makers. So imagine the scene. There's a fleet of coal carts with nowhere to go, all sitting out on the street. And then a bunch of guys with wedding cakes arrive, with huge wedding cakes. That's a pretty good band name too. The Huge Wedding Cakes. By now the street is pretty full, and no one can get to the door. And those that can are being told that they're not needed, they're not going to get paid, and that they should go away.
Yeah, I feel like these guys somehow managed to cause the whole cash in advance type payment. Like, this is when businesses went, you know what? I'm not making my cakes until you pay me money first.
Absolutely. I'm going to need to see a deposit at least.
Is this because of the Burner Street thing? Yes.
Yes, it's called the Burner Street Clause. That's a good band name. Burner Street Clause. Anyway, so no one can get to the door. Those that can are being told that they won't get paid. Now, adding themselves to the throng are a doctrine of doctors, a quarrel of lawyers, a prudence of vicars, and a discretion of priests. All of those things are great band names.
Yeah.
Every one of them. And they're all correct, by the way. They're all collective nouns for those occupations.
Brilliant.
So
Two
we've
turtle
got...
doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
Just about. Let me finish. So, no, but imagine there's guys with wedding cakes. We don't know how many. Guys with carts of coal. We don't know how many. Doctors, lawyers.
Guys or carts.
We don't know how many guys. We don't know how many carts. But we do know. Actually, we also don't know if they all arrived together in a comically undersized car.
Oh, they carpooled.
Or they must have in a clown car. Or if they just arrived on their own. We don't really know. But many of them have been told in letters they received that Mrs. Tottenham was dying and wanted to get her affairs in order.
Okay.
Right, so this is now getting a bit grim. I don't know what the fishmongers and the shoemakers were told, but I would have thought they were pretty peeved with the idea of being sent away from the door. Not nearly as annoyed as the 6 stout men carrying an organ. Church organ. 6 large men carrying a church organ.
Okay.
Yep. This is all true, by the way. This is all real. They were told to go and stand with the men delivering 12 pianos. This happened. This is real. I swear. This Burner Street was full of coal carts and wedding cakes and a dozen pianos, a church organ, vicars and doctors and lawyers and fishmongers.
Jeez.
James, that sounds crazy, right?
Yes.
Surely there couldn't be any more than that.
Oh, no.
Well, there wasn't. It all ended and everyone went home and were paid. No, that's not what happened. The governor of the Bank of England, the Duke of York, the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Is this one person's title or
No, these are many people. These are many important men. And the Lord Mayor of London. The latter went to the police to try to get some order into the proceedings. In an account from that year's Morning Post article, Most Extraordinary Scene, Berners Street in an Uproar, actual title, every officer that could be mustered was enlisted to disperse the people.
All the officers into the tunnels.
Say it's a training exercise. Everyone into the tunnels.
Sorry, Dark Knight reference there.
That was a terrible plan. What was he thinking? What was Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing listening to him? The guy's laid up in a hospital bed. He's clearly not fit for command. Tell him that's a dumb idea. Anyway, so every officer that could be mustered was enlisted to disperse the people, and they were placed at the corners of Berners Street to prevent tradespeople from advancing towards the house with goods. So there's more people coming. The street was not cleared at a later hour, as servants of every denomination wanting places began to assemble at 5 o'clock. It turned out that letters had been written to the different tradespeople, which stated recommendations from persons of quality. This guy hadn't just written false letters. He claimed to knew important people, telling them to get here to help out Mrs. Tottenham. This guy's amazing. A reward has been offered for the apprehension of the author of the criminal hoax. Now, that was all written in 1810, by the way.
Yeah,
so, jumbled English. But, yeah, there was a price put on this guy Hook's head, as you can imagine. As for what happened to Hook, Wikipedia says it best. Despite a fervent hue and cry to find the perpetrator, Hook managed to evade detection, although many of those who knew him suspected him of being responsible. He was that guy in the group.
Yeah.
You'd be reading
Did
the
you
paper.
do this?
You can't say
Maybe.
you did this. We know you. You did this. Maybe I did. It was reported that he felt it prudent to be laid up for a week or two before embarking on a tour of the country, supposedly to convalesce. It caused him such stress and anguish, James, that he had to lie low for 2 weeks and then go on holiday. This guy's my spirit animal. I love him. It has to be mentioned, however, that Hook did receive his 1 guinea.
Excellent. I was going to say, he's going on holiday, you better have his guinea.
That's right, which is what I'm actually calling my band.
Yeah, 1
guinea.
Yeah.
James.
It's just you playing bass.
It's just me on bass. That's it, the whole time. James.
Damon.
Is that not the greatest practical joke you've ever heard?
That's hilarious. Yes. I wish I was there just to be a fly on the wall.
My one
in that
regret
situation.
is that it happened so far in the past that YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah.
And
can you just imagine just a whole bunch of people filming that on their phones? And
that would have caused another backlog of people, all
Yeah.
the people trying to get in to film the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Isn't it great? I love it. As soon as you mention this topic, I'm like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah. Full credit to QI for teaching me about this one, but
QI.
Yeah, Stephen Fry. Real thing. Really happened.
How long ago did you say?
1810.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pity they didn't have cameras then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I mean a box brownie. Yeah. Everyone stay still!
Is there a sketch? Like, does somebody get there and just...
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
There were books written about it. A memoir of Hook was written in which this was... I don't care what Hook did with his life. This would have been the main event.
Just
written
the event.
About. Yeah, they would have had like 2 chapters at the beginning talking about his early life, his professional life, and then the event at 54 Berners Street. That would have been the main thing.
I feel like there's another Monty Python sketch there.
Oh, heck yeah. So there you go. There's 2. We've got the Berners Street incident, and we've got the little Greek man running up to the gates of Troy.
Trojan War.
Delivery for the Trojans.
So that's what we're doing after. Are you convinced?
I think so. Well, Ding Dong Ditching Trojans.
Yeah. Monty Python-esque films about
Maybe.
real things that happen.
Maybe we won't make any false promises, but
no,
yeah,
it's
sure.
not on the run sheet. So.
It's not on the run sheet, which means it's not happening.
Well, it just not anytime soon.
No, that's
it. But listeners, for the very last time, for now,
stop labouring the point.
Are you convinced by our arguments? Do you think that Operation Fortitude is the most significant prank pulled in modern history?
Do you think the Berners Street hoax is just in terms of sheer practical jokery and tomfoolery, the best practical joke you've ever heard.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments of our social media accounts, or let us know what's the best practical joke you've pulled,
Yeah.
or what's a practical joke you fell for.
Yes, I want to know about what you've had done to you.
Yeah.
In what way were you made to look foolish?
Yeah, let us know in the comments or on our social media accounts, which will remain up.
Oh, that's me. 20 episodes, and I still haven't got it right. I was doing so well there for a bit.
Yeah, just that middle bit.
Yeah. that 3-episode gap where I didn't get that wrong. I'm sitting here going, read them out, James. Why isn't he reading them out? Twitter and Instagram at Are You Convinced. Search Are You Convinced on Facebook. The link is www.facebook.com/areyouconvinced.podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes. It seriously does help us out. Thank you so much to those 2 or 3 people that have, and I believe we got 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
From a couple of people. We're stoked with that. Thank you
So
so much. That just makes it easier for people to find us.
Yeah.
at
And I
end of
mean,
the
the
day.
episodes, like we said, they're still going to be up. So convince your friends to listen. Like, we
Yeah.
may be wrapping up, but all 20 episodes will continue to be up.
How many times has someone said to you, I don't want to get involved in another podcast. I don't have that level of time.
Yeah.
You can now say to them, there's 20-hour-long episodes.
And then it ends.
And then it's done.
So they're not
Yeah.
20-hour long. The
Oh,
the
no.
episodes.
What did I say? There's,
No,
there's 20
just-
of them, and they're an hour long.
Yeah.
Be careful. Explain it better than I did.
Our episodes don't go for 20 hours each.
No, don't do what Damon does.
But yeah, still convince your friends to listen.
Convince your pets. I recently learned of 200 new pet listeners.
Wow.
Yes. They work with a guy called Ben.
Yeah.
Who is
Like alongside him. Yep. They all
well,
pitch in. They all put on their hard hats and
Yes. I mean,
roll
he's
up their sleeves and
and build roads.
yeah.
No, they fix leaking water mains in Adelaide, which is why it doesn't get done.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they've got mice working on it. No, Ben, who is a scientist, working with the Mises. The exact quote I heard was that when he's working away quietly with the mice in the lab, he likes to listen to us because it's like he's got friends in the room.
Oh.
I know. I'm glad we could be a friendly voice for you, Ben.
We'll be your friend, Ben.
Xanth-
is this
Gone.
Ben
Ben? What?
Hemsworth?
No, it's not. No.
It's not our
this
mate
whole time
Ben.
we actually knew Ben Hemsworth, who's a scientist. No, it's not Ben
No,
Hemsworth.
it's not our mate Ben
No,
Hemsworth.
who is a real guy.
Yep.
Owns a fish and chip shop.
4th brother of the Hemsworths.
Yeah. A little bit sick of hearing about his more
3
successful brothers.
famous brothers.
Yeah.
His 2 famous brothers and his moderately successful.
Yeah.
third
I mean,
brother.
if anything, I like to think he gets on best with Luke.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Just that kind of. He's the connection to the
exactly.
world of celebrity.
That's right. So hit us up. Xanthi, who works with Ben, who's not a mouse, she's a real person.
Yeah.
Listener from the very beginning. Even got her 2 small kids to listen to a few episodes.
Oh,
They
nice.
really enjoyed episode 1, the cryptozoology.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell them not to listen to the episode about Star Wars.
There was a couple where she did censor. A couple of topics where she just went, yeah, do you know what? The kids don't need to know about this.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it must
Was
have been
it
a
Star
triple
Wars?
X rated porn one that we did or something. I don't know, but
Are you convinced? Wow, no.
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 No, the Star Wars one where you ruined
Yeah.
our innocence and swore.
I did beep it out, granted, but yeah.
This is where we need to edit in like a little clip of like our best moments or something over the years.
Nickelback are great.
Ah.
The
I
Lord
wish
of the Rings are terrible.
Ferris Bueller's a terrible person.
Yeah.
These are all from last week.
And of course, who could forget Mishka?
Oh, Mishka.
Mishka.
One day I'm going to meet Mishka, and he's not going to have any clue who I am, which is the most depressing thing.
It'll probably be just that face of confusion that's just like,
Hmm.
I know your voice.
Why do I
But-
know your voice?
Where do I know you from?
Hmm.
I'll allow you to feed me.
Yes. Continue scratching my ear. Continue
I'll allow for
scratching.
Nope, not
No
like
more
that.
Because that's how all cats work.
Yeah.
It's either calm or homicidal.
It's
There's
just
no
two extremes. There's no middle. But yeah, 20 episodes. It's been fun.
I feel like we're procrastinating.
Yeah.
I feel like we
We
don't
just
want to
don't.
wrap
We're
it up.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We'll buckle
was-
up for the next 19 hours of this 20-hour-long episode.
That was the whole joke. No, we are ending. I don't know, James. Anything you want to say?
Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Go
Yeah.
back and listen again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now
Thanks
you
to
can
all.
binge the whole season.
Thanks to everyone that did listen from the beginning. We could name all of our friends that listen, but you know we're so popular and there's so many of you that it would take far too long. and I don't really want to read your names out over the air. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may not actually want to, but
some
yeah.
of these are my best friends, and I don't want to give them any kudos or credence
Oh,
because I
wow.
love them. Well, you know,
Oh, okay.
you know that good-natured Australian ribbing where it's like, yeah, he's my best mate, but he's also a bit of a
Yeah.
tool, you know.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much, seriously, for sticking with us, and you know, thanks to my partner Nat for, you know, always encouraging this. And she, you know, she was a bit upset the other day that we were giving this up. She's like, oh, you know, it sucks that your hobby's ending and that you know, she was listening to it. She listened from day one. So, and not just because she's with me, she's often claimed.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you to anyone who started listening, stuck with us. Thanks to all of our friends, family, partners who supported us. Thank you, James, for procuring the microphones and allowing us to start in the first place. This was all just a little idea I had about this time last year.
Yeah,
I reckon
getting there.
it would have been,
Yeah.
Because we didn't start for the longest time.
Yep.
We spoke about it. I convinced you to do this.
Oh, you convinced. The original convincing.
It was that one conversation we had, and it took not too long to convince you, and then we rattled through some format ideas and some name ideas. I think "May I Tempt You" was.
Yeah, can I tempt you? May I tempt you?
That's yeah. That was probably the first one we had slated, and then "Are You Convinced" rolled around because we decided to convince each other on dumb arguments.
Yeah, it opened it up a lot more, I think, to what we could do, and
absolutely. And
this
then
is what you've got.
Yeah, so
20 episodes of us.
Yeah, I really am procrastinating now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end this one.
I guess we just be careful not to say see you next time. We just
That's
say
right.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.